First, take a look at some updates that are coming in from Nepal, where youth protests have erupted in the capital city of Kathmandu over the ban on social media platforms. Clashes broke out as protesters tried to enter parliament, forcing police to fire tear gas, water cannons and rubber bullets. At least 14 people have been killed and several others are injured in the firing. As per local media reports, a curfew has now been imposed in Kathmandu. The government says that the ban targets fake accounts on social media that are spreading hate speech and fraud. Meanwhile, protesters carried placards with slogans such as "Shut down corruption" and "Not social media." They also said "Unban social media" and "Youths against corruption." Meanwhile, a meeting of the Nepal government is currently underway to review the ongoing situation, even as those protests are spreading across the country. In fact, some reports suggest that this massive unrest is not just limited to Kathmandu. And of course, joining us now to decode the ongoing situation in Nepal and what this means for the polity of the country, we're now joined by Nalini Singh. She's a senior journalist and managing editor of Nepal One. Thank you very much, ma'am, for taking the time out and speaking to us here on ET Now. It's indeed a pleasure to be speaking to us here on the channel. First, if you could just talk to us about why did the government have to push for regulating a ban on social media platforms, given that the government has been dealing with a situation of, corruption, unemployment for a very, very long period of time? And what's the sense that you're witnessing across the country? What is it that you're gathering?
Yeah, so just to correct you once, Nepal One was a Nepali language TV channel that I ran with, it was an honor to run this channel for for a decade and more, almost 2 decades. So just to say, the Supreme Court of Nepal at the end of August has given an order that these tech companies must be compliant with the, they should work within the 4 walls of the law. This is at the end of August. Now, I'm not mistaken, it was perhaps the 25th of August. So after that, the Nepal government seems to have given, apparently before that also it gave many warnings to the tech companies saying that you are requested. Well, what the Nepal government claims is that they said against hate speech, against pornography, against enmity, etc. So they said that these were perils for the country, and so the tech companies must come within the law. Just to give you context, India did that. If you remember, India has even raided some of these tech companies when they did not comply. And today, I think almost all of them are in compliance. So just to get back to Nepal, the government of Nepal is saying this, but actually this, I believe, is only a trigger. What's really happened is that, can you believe that in our neighborhood exists Nepal, 25% of whose GDP, gross domestic product, comes from remittances? Now that's a very, very high number. And it is a very eloquent number because it speaks of the sluggish economy. It speaks of stagnation in people's minds regarding their future. So when the youth, the lines outside the Nepal has a special department of facilitating employment in foreign countries. I'm not giving you the correct name, but a department with that purpose. The lines outside this department are longer now than they were 5 years ago. And every day, about 1,700 to 2,000 Nepali youth are migrating, are leaving Nepal to go to the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, the Gulf countries. So when the situation is such that the country's youth seems, feels that our futures are in tatters, they are already very angry with them. And also, if I may just point out that it is,
right.
Anger and going against the government does not. These feelings are not wiped out in one generation. You are actually looking at something that is calling itself Gen Z. which ironically is also a name they've taken from the tech,
That's right.
the big tech. Anyway, this
That's
Gen
right.
Z,
That's right.
who are they?
That's
They
right.
are the children of the Maoists who had actually overturned a
Ms. Singh, we'll come to
207-year-old
that. We'll come to
monarchy
that point in
in
just a bit. We'll
2006.
explore that point in just a bit. But to the point that you made about this situation actually reflecting a deeper governance crisis in Nepal, well, I mean, the pictures really reflect that. But could these protests mark the beginning of a new political force in the country?
Could these protests, sorry? I didn't get you.
Could these protests mark the beginning of a new political force in the country?
Well, I would say that when the youth takes it upon itself to change things, normally in Nepal, the government changes. They overthrow the government. In this case, there is this, it is a well-known political jumla, if you want, that there is POD operating there, which is Prachand, Oli, and Dyoba, which is the Maoist centrist, the MLA, of which Oli is the president, and the chairman, and the Nepali Congress with Dyoba. So that there isn't, so that apparently these three work together behind the scenes. So I don't foresee a political push to the Oli government, because it's a little bit of a merry-go-round. One takes this and it's musical chairs, and then the other comes along and the other comes along. But when the Nepali youth has been stimulated in this manner, that they today it has now gone out of what they started against, which was against corruption and nepotism and inequality. Today it's gone to the depths of, you are reporting 14. I hear 20 students killed. Now that's a very big deal. And to be very crass, such wanton deaths normally lead to the resignation of a government or of a high official in Nepal. So I would say that I look at it like that. If you'll permit me, there is something else I'd like to say about what this actually holds for South Asia, or even for Asia. It appears to me that big tech plus disgruntled youth can actually overturn governments. Think about the profound implications of this. That that Zuckerberg and maybe even Elon Musk, but especially Facebook, etc., that they can actually be
So you're essentially suggesting, Ms. Singh, that
triggers
these protests or these gatherings that we have seen and witnessed in Nepal might not be very spontaneous in nature. But let me also ask you, how do you think these protests and, of course, the current political climate going to impact India?
We have a very long border with Nepal, first of all. It's more than 1,400 kilometers or even more, straddling at least 4 states, major ones being Bihar and UP, and then, of course, our hill states. And there is a roti-beti rishta over here, that you intermarry and you feast together. So when you have this, it is improbable that this kind of anger against governments and the power that the young feel that we can change governments, that this will not seep through. Also, please remember that because of a treaty of 1950, 75 years ago, uninterrupted treaty that exists between Nepal and India, we have porous borders. So Nepalis can come to India anytime without documents, I think, or with the minimal document or citizenship of Nepal. And so also Indians can go across with just an Aadhaar card or a voter ID card. So with that, with a porous border and with relationships of marriage and kinship, it is quite unlikely that this is not going to suggest something to young Indian minds also. And besides that, the spectacle of the government coming down on its knees is a heady spectacle for the young. And this is what I'd like to humbly suggest, that for South Asia in particular, you're already seeing this You've seen this in Pakistan with Imran,
Right.
in Sri Lanka, with
Right.
Rajapaksas being thrown away. Look at
and
Bangladesh,
there are going to be.
Myanmar.
Yes.
So if I'm leaving
right.
out something. So therefore I'm saying
That's
that,
right.
yeah, so I'm just saying that it's not, we should not think that we are,
Absolutely.
that it'll have no effect on us here in India. And also it does show that there was an element of centralization
Yes.
by KP Oli Sharma. There's no doubt about it. He was centralizing power, and the youth,
Okay.
he sensed
Okay.
it. Or
So these were not
these
these were not spontaneous in nature,
youth.
as you're suggesting. Once again, of course, you're suggesting that it's not going to have any impact on India, but we'll have to watch out for that in the coming few days, how the story unfolds. But for the moment, thank you very much, Ms. Singh, for taking the time out and speaking to us.